Hey YouTube, this is Ozarks brother Jerry coming at you with my second Ozarks Torah Minute. This Parsha is called Ekev, E-K-E-V, and it's Deuteronomy 7:12 through 11:25. And there's a lot here, but I wanted to focus on fecundity, and that's not a word I hear a lot in the Ozarks, and loving Elohim. So, for an overview of the parasha, it's all the promises that Yahweh made about getting Israel back into the land, and then he recounted the making of the idol there when Moshe was up on the mount, and the stone tablets, and the death of Aaron, and the separation of the Levites, and how Yaakov came into Egypt, the 70 people. And, people figured there was about 2 million of them at this point, because we have in Scripture that there were 60,000 males, so they figure about 2 million total. And Rabbi Richmond, this is a rabbi thing, he says that only like 25% or maybe it was a third of the Israelites, the Hebrews, left Egypt. So, I don't know if that's true or not, but it's called, our parsha is called Ekev, which means if you follow, and that is let's see, let's see, 7:12, and that is if you hearken to these judgments. So if you follow these judgments, you're going to get these things that Yahweh's promised you. And insofar as the two areas I want to focus on, fecundity is the ability to produce an abundance of offspring or new growth, semicolon, fertility. And if you, I don't know about you, but in my family, in my spouse's family, in my immediate family, I got married after 30 years of my first wife deceased, passed away. But man, it's just loaded with people who have problems with childbearing. And the CDC, this data comes from the key statistics from the National Survey of Family Growth, says that 12% of women aged 15 to 44 are impaired with this. So it's a big deal. But what is the Torah have to say about that, in particular this parsha? And I'll read 7:13 and 7:14. And he will love thee and bless thee and multiply thee. He will also bless the fruit of thy womb and the fruit of the land, thy corn and thy wine and thine oil, and the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep, and the land which he sware unto thy fathers to give thee. So people aren't going to be barren. Thou shalt be blessed above all people. This is verse 14. There shall not be male or female barren among you, or your cattle. So these fecundity problems are going to go away just by keeping Yahweh's commandments. So that's a pretty big deal, and that also applies to on a national basis as well. In Deuteronomy 8:1, all the commandments which I command thee this day shall ye observe to do, that ye may live and multiply, and go in and possess the land which Yahweh swore unto your fathers. So he's promising that to the nation. And that's a pretty big deal. You can't keep your country and replace, when someone's deceased, you can't replace that with a foreign baby or a foreign person. And that's what we're trying to do today with or a certain segment of our society certainly is, with foreigners. I mean, today, I just heard this like 2 days ago, English isn't spoken in 22% of American homes. So, I mean, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's a judgment upon us. But, man, you hear that thunder. But, we're losing our culture. As it stands, we are losing our American culture. So, then the other thing I wanted to comment on is loving Yahweh. And that was in Deuteronomy 11:1, Therefore thou shalt keep the Lord, thou shalt keep Yahweh thy Elohim, and keep his charge and his statutes, his judgments and his commandments. In verse 3, and his miracles. Well, I got that one wrong. I'll just jump over to verse 22. For if ye shall diligently keep all these commandments which I command you, to do them, to love Yahweh your Elohim, to walk in all his ways, and to cleave unto him. And this love, it's not a fancy, or it's not a fuzzy concept. It's Scripture's pretty, or the letters are very clear on this about what that means. And for that, let's go over to 1 John 5:3. To love our Elohim. Should have had this already scoped out, but I didn't. Thought I was ready to go, and I wasn't. 1 John 5:3. For this is the love of Elohim, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous. So it's quite explicit here about how we're to love, our Creator, and that's to keep his commandments. So thanks for listening to this. Please like, share, and subscribe, and we'll talk to you next week.